Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to a Pro Cycling Manager 2023 tutorial on race basics. Let's get straight into things. This is definitely a beginner's level tutorial. First thing, you have various riders at your disposal, anywhere from 6 to 8 of them depending on the race. We are picking up with stage 6 of the Tour de France, which just occurred a day ago. Stage in which Tadej Pogacar claimed victory, and the team that we are riding with here today, EF Education First, Easy Post, Nielsen Paulus, went on to consolidate his King of the Mountains jersey that he had by picking up a couple points on this one. We do have some climbs along the way. It is classified as a mountain stage, even though it is in the early end of the Tour de France. But let's start with some keyboard shortcuts. There are many of them available to you. There's a lot more than what I use normally. I do like to use the mouse, a lot of point and click, but there are a few that I like to use. First one, very handy one, is the 0 key on the number pad. The 0 key is a select all. You can see how all are selected now with their boxes around. Now, a few basics to get out of the way. Each rider has their own ratings. You can see Andre Amador here has a 71 mountain, 72 medium mountain, 73 hills. Those are your climbing ones. I'm not going to break them down. This is not an attribute tutorial, but those are the climbing ones. The time trialing ones, the TTR, is your full time trial, while Prologue, the shorter one. And then you have your flat rating, your cobbled rating, that is also for gravel. There's 1 to 5 star sectors, so depending on the sector, that's your rating over that type of terrain. And then you have your sprint. Sprint is the maximum speed, while acceleration is the how quickly you get to that speed. And then downhill, it's the opposite of the climbing ones, that is your descending one. Barrador, this one does not have any bearing on you controlling riders. It does have bearing on the AI. Whether you quick sim or whether the AI against you, all of the other teams, the Barrador is the likelihood of a rider to break away, to want to attack the Peloton. Peloton being the main group, being the bunch. Stamina, how long they can go, while resistance is that short punchy, it's the red bar. And then recovery, which is the green bar. So these are those three. Green bar, longevity over the course of the race. Yellow bar, your stamina, more the medium term. Recovery one will, over a stage race, lead to deterioration of the stamina more quickly. And then this here is your race day condition. Now, that can be turned off entirely. It can have a +3, -3 swing, or it can go to a +5, -5 swing. I do have the +5, -5 swing activated. And you can see Magnus Cort Nielsen has a -3, which means he is going to be struggling a little bit. And when we look at Magnus Cort Nielsen, you could see that his mountain rating, the base rating, is a 70. That is what he is on paper within the database. But because he has a -3 race day condition, partially because he's only at an 85% fitness level, which is going to cause a negative, he's got a -2 on his mountain rating, meaning he actually is riding with a 68. That also means that his stamina is seeing a -6, which brings it all the way down to a 72. So Cort Nielsen's going to have a hard day. Back to 0 to select all. First things first, the safest place to be in the Peloton is the front. So the first button you need to know, besides that 0 to select all, is this button right here, the effort cursor. Now, actually hovering over each of these does display the name, so that is very useful. But we're going to, while all are selected, we're going to choose effort cursor, which is going to trigger all of our riders to ride forward at their current effort level. Their current effort is a 70. There are 3 different ways to change the effort level, as right now we have Carapaz selected. I can use the mouse wheel to roll up or down quickly and see that change. It has a range of 0 to 99. The base, of course, starts at 70. This is how much effort they are giving compared to their maximum. So their maximum effort is a 99. Standing still and not pedaling, coming to a full stop, is a 0. 70, the base one, means they are riding at about 70% effort. 70% of their max. They're riding pretty hard, and that's what pros do. I couldn't go out and sustain a 70 effort myself. So mouse wheel, first way. Second way, the 8 key and the 5 key on the number pad will decrease or increase by a single one. The third way, point and click. Safest place to be is at the front. However, we don't want to stay there all day. Carapaz is already at the front, so I'm going to now switch him to maintain position, where he's going to actually drop back a bit. That's by design. We're going to do the same with Kort Nielsen now that he is up here. Amador is going to now maintain position. Uran is going to maintain position. And here's what they're doing. Let's start with Carapaz. Carapaz has dropped back. There are now a good 3, 4, 5 riders that have overtaken him. Now the reason why is they have a different assignment. Carapaz is as far forward in the peloton as maintain position will allow, and that's because he and or everybody behind him are also on maintain position or just have not overtaken him up to this point. What we are seeing though is one rider, I can see from the body language that he is about to attack. That's the next button. So attack is going to allow you to sprint, escape the peloton, or be involved in some sort of objective where you're attacking for the king of the mountains, or you're attacking for an intermediate sprint, or you're sprinting for the finish line. But in this case, he's going to escape the field. You can see he's being joined by a second rider, and now a third, fourth, and fifth rider, all on the attack. Now what we're seeing is Shaw is the latest to come forward, and we'll switch him to maintain position, is there are 4 riders, Arkas, Tarling, Gloag, and Keplinger, that have a different assignment. Their assignment is relay. Relay brings you to the front of a group, in this case the main group, the peloton, or it can happen in the breakaway as well. But relay with an effort level will tell a rider to ride off the front. We could do so with Shaw here briefly. Shaw right now committed to a 70 effort, and you can see that's similar to what these other guys are doing, as that first attack has now been negated and Shaw is riding solo. Now the reason why he's riding solo at the front is, well, one, nobody else is attacking, so nobody's bothered with pursuing it right now, and 2, the required effort to maintain pace right now is probably closer to about a 60 at the front. Everybody else wants to sit up and ride a bit more casually. So if we were to back him down to maybe a 62, I would imagine others might actually take turns with him. Betty also coming forward here. We'll tell him to maintain position. Yeah, even at a 62, Shaw is still riding solo. Now, the difference between relay and infinite relay, they do the same function. The difference is on infinite relay, you do not want others to take turns with you, and you're going to try to stay on the front if at all possible, if your effort leads up to it. In relay, it means you want to swap with other riders. Now, I'm going to tell Shaw to drop back into a maintain position and at a better effort. And Paulus, who I've been waiting for, as he is in real life competing for the King of the Mountains classification, the polka dot jersey, if you're not too familiar with the sport. Paulus holds that jersey right now. He would actually be wearing it here on stage 6 if we were carrying on with what's going on in real life. I want him to get into the breakaway. So we're going to tell him to attack. Now, with attack, if we drop back to maintain position, his effort cursor is at 70. When we attack, you see the effort cursor is all the way to the left. Not when you're attacking for major points like the finish line, but when you are just trying to escape. There is varying levels of attack. The moderate one, the fast enough to escape. As you can see, we're escaping Tarling right now, but you can see we're barely faster than these guys. And actually our red bar is draining quite slowly. And that's your sudden oomph type bar. If we were to increase this, he would actually increase his pace a little bit and his attack would be a little more intense. Palace, though, that group was caught. I'm now going to attack with him. And you see he's riding much harder this time, but that red bar also deteriorates much more quickly. Now, he's escaped. I want him to ride a bit harder, so we're going to try at about an 85 and see where that takes us. Bernard, Sweeney, Wendell have all made contact with him. For now, I want us to continue riding hard to increase our likelihood of escaping, especially as we hit this short little climb right now. One thing to keep an eye on is what's going on here at the bottom of the screen. For one, we have our race profile. This is our current location, and when we zoom in, that gray bar that's vertical, the front of that's the lead group. The back end of that's where the Peloton is, so you can see groups spread out over time. Race profile, you can see there's undulation. It's doing this, right? The color scheme tells a lot. The generic brown, we are within a 3% gradient, which is going to use the flat rating. When we see those, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the blacks, that means we are climbing. Means we are outside of that 3% range, either ascending or descending. The climb right now is orange. It's more intense. Those go in varying degrees. So yellow, moderate climb. Orange, more intense, probably over 5%, I believe. Red is a severe climb, where black is the most intense, the steepest climbs of all. Definitely over 10%, I believe, on those, but I don't know exactly where. I don't pay a lot of attention to that. Steeper the climb, the more likely we are to have a profile of that climb. Here we could see 1.9 kilometers. Total altitude gained over the climb will be 326 meters. The average percent of the climb is 5.8%. This also lays out the profile of the distance covered over the course of that climb. You can see 1.9. Here's 1.6. That would be 1.9 right there. And lastly, as we are in a breakaway, we can have effort recommend to ride at the same pace as the others. We have a group. Not everybody wants to ride. Sweeney would like to relay, but the pace is too unrelenting. It's too fast. He can't even contribute. Bernard takes his relays normally because we are competing or contributing at a pace that is requisite of the group. 80 to 84 is that pace. Right now we are set to an 85. If I roll back just a little bit to an 83, you can see we now have a pace. But you could also see this changes. It varies. Their willingness to contribute varies. Peloton, right now, led by Esteban Chavez, because I have Everett up on him. We're going to turn that down. So we stop chasing. Peloton right now is 1 minute and 8 seconds behind. There can be multiple groups. The other groups will have different time gaps, and it's group to group to group, not first place to last place or anything like that. Overall, on Chavez, you can see we have 147 kilometers till the finish line. We also have 0.0 to the top of that climb. We'll have 71 kilometers till the top of the next climb. If we were actually doing the stage race, we would have seen a category 4 with a single point here. We would have seen a much larger climb here up the Col du Soleil and the Marie Blanc here later on. Each of these would have King of the Mountains classification points. This actually does not match the real life stage that just took place. For now, the breakaway group is succeeding in getting away. They are 2.5 minutes. Palace is actually still working really hard, so we're going to back off with him so that the others will begin to work with him. They are 2 minutes and 53 seconds ahead. In game, 2 minutes is the magic number. Once you get 2 minutes away, the Peloton will stop attacking. They'll stop chasing. They will allow the breakaway to go to whatever time they are comfortable with. That is the time where the pace of both groups will actually lift. And this group, you can see, is now down to in the 50s for the range. This is allowing their heart rate to settle down because they're not riding as hard. And once you get to 140 and below, you will actually see your stamina recover. We're going to see this bar refill towards its maximum. It can refill to its maximum because the green bar is still more than 2/3 full. As long as you are in excess of 2/3 of your green bar, it will allow these to recover fully. Both the red, the short burst, and the yellow, that longer stamina. But once this drops below 2/3, the maximum of both of these will begin to fall away. They will fall away based on your stamina and resistance. The closer to 85 you have, the less they will fall away. The lower the rating of stamina and resistance, so like Palace not looking great today with a -1 race day condition, he's got a 74 and a 75. The reason for that is that fitness level is really low. We picked a random single stage with random fitness levels, random preparation, random race day conditions, and as a result we're seeing a number of EF riders just being ill prepared for a mega stage such as this. For now, they have a 4-minute and 8-second advantage. You can see that it's constantly in flux. There are 4 riders in the group. E1 is going to be the front group, the front escape group. E2 would be an intermediate group if there were extra riders in between. P is the Peloton, that's the main group. And A are groups that are off the back of the main group. F would also be considered front group. That is leaders, and leaders not of a main group, but of as groups get really small late in a stage. Maybe after these climbs we might see something similar to that. Our rider, Nielsen Palace, besides having a heart rate of 137, which allowed him to get fully recovered, has water. You do need to get water from time to time. In a small group such as this, fetching water is going to be quick and easy. He raises his hand and his water bottle is filled. Back in the group, well, we have a whole bunch of riders back here that now need some attention, and we're going to look to them and provide that attention. In the short term, I'm going to speed things up a little bit. Shortcuts. You can speed up by clicking here. That's pause, minus speed, to slow the speed or to speed up. You could go all the way up to ×8, ×4, ×2, or neutral speed. Also minus or just straight pause will help. We'll go to ×2 for now. Beyond that, you can also use that keyboard on that number pad. The minus key and the plus key will slow down or speed up time. I'm going to send somebody back to get water. Court Nielsen is having a really rough day with a -3, so I think he's a good one to not have to worry about wasting energy. So we're going to send him back to get water. We'll ride with him as he goes back. You can see that he didn't just put his hand up as Paulus did. What Court Nielsen is going to do is he's going to drop back towards the team car. Now, if he was at the front of the Peloton and my team was spread out, the back of the Peloton is a long ways back. There are a lot of riders here. A lot of riders. He would have had to drop all the way back to here if we were spread out throughout the field, and then raise his hand and go up and get water. But Court Nielsen very quickly finished the task. I did not have to get water for every rider. One rider was able to get water for the entire team. You load up the bidons, put them in the back of your shirt, pile them in wherever you can, and ride back forward and hand them out to your team. He has to get that water to his team by overtaking each rider. Once he's overtaken all of the riders on the team, they will each receive water. Now we are about to start climbing, and I do not want all of my riders just casually riding in a maintained position. This climb is going to be pretty brutal, and I want to protect our best riders, our best climbers, with the weaker climbers, so that we make sure that they make it over the top of this climb. Right now the tempo is not bad, but that's not to say that it's not going to get worse. Somebody is bound to take this 14-kilometer climb and be aggressive with it. First other button, or the last button across the top here that I'm going to show you, is automatic apply defined strategy. So we're going to change Palace to automatic. If you hit the space bar, it's going to open your menu. In the strategy tab, you could see what each of your riders' defined strategy is according to the AI. You could define this before you open the stage. Once you get into the stage, you can open it from here and alter it. Nielsen Palace is set as a free element, meaning he is riding for himself today. He can do whatever he wants. We have him assigned to ride if in a breakaway, which he is, so he will ride, meaning he will contribute. And then he is also set to attack, meaning if he feels like it, he could attack the other 3 riders and ride solo. There is follow attacks, there is do not attack, so kind of 3 alternatives there. You set the benchmark and attack if need be. You follow attacks of others, or you choose to not attack at all. Right now, our team leader, Carapaz, to the AI anyway, is set to follow the attack of others. If he ends up in a small group, he will contribute. And then there's ride for the stage. It means we are riding for the overall, or riding for the victory of the stage. And he's got teammates to support him. So these 5 guys are set to support. Uran is the other free element. So I can now leave Palace on his own and expect that he will stay put in the breakaway, continue to contribute, and potentially, if he sees an opportunity, attack some of the other riders in his group. Back to the rest of the team. We have 7 riders back here right now, set to roughly 70 effort, and we're about to start a mega climb. I don't want them at 70 effort. That is a bit undervalued. So we're going to increase this to about a 78, which should help them hold position a bit better on a big climb. And then what I want to do is I want to take our 3 weakest riders, make them into domestiques to protect our 3 best riders. Now in this case, what we mean by best rider is best climber, because it is a mountain stage and we've got a big climb, 7.5%, 14K to navigate. Carapaz is definitely our best climber. He is an 80 mountain. Court Nielsen, 70 mountain base, also a -2 today, means he's easily going to be one of our weakest 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click on Court Nielsen. I'm going to right click on Carapaz. That's going to bring up this little sub menu, and here's the buttons here. You have protect. These are assignments. We will assign Court Nielsen to protect Carapaz, but there's also follow, which would mean to lock in on his wheel, so behind him. This is follow attack. If Carapaz were attacking, I could assign Court Nielsen to follow that attack, meaning to try to stay on his wheel and go with him. There's measure time gap, also the set origin, and then take position here. These buttons don't work very well. The follow attack works some of the time, but these 2 work very well. These 2 do what they are designed to do all the time in the game. So we're going to set protect for now. What this is going to do is that Carapaz is going to try to hold position as best he can at a 78. Court Nielsen is going to ride in front of Carapaz and shield Carapaz from the wind. It's going to help Carapaz conserve energy on the climb at the expense of Court Nielsen riding a little bit harder. It's going to exhaust Court Nielsen, but it's going to keep Carapaz fresh, which is what we need of our main climber. Amador is another weak one. We're going to turn him into a rider to protect. Uran is definitely going to be one of the stronger climbers. He's a 78 mountain. We have Shah. Today is a 77. Bedial is just a 72. And Chavez is a 78. He's got 72 stamina to go with it, while Shah has 77. So Shah, even though he's 1 point weaker in mountain, he has much better stamina, which is probably going to make him overall a little bit better today. So Bedial, the other weaker climber, is going to protect Shah and not Chavez. On a normal day, Chavez is probably somebody you want to protect, but his stamina is just a little bit on the weaker side. So now those 3 riders will ride in front of those 3 protected riders to conserve their energy as we navigate this climb. Other teams are leading things out. We do not feel the need to contribute to that, as we are not among the favorites. Carapaz is a pretty good climber. He unfortunately had to withdraw after the first stage this year in real life, but he would have been the leader over Uran. Uran used to be the leader for EF, but at his age, he's in his late 30s now. Uran is getting weaker and weaker year by year as he gets a little bit older. He's younger than I am, so I understand completely what he's going through as he gets older. Meanwhile, up front, Palace, he's riding well. You can see, though, right now, as we approach the top, he is getting low on energy. The red bar is fine. That green bar is at that 2/3 point, though. It's maybe 60% where it really begins to happen. He's right about to that point. His maximums, see how we have this less bright yellow here? That's because it can still recover. Soon, this is going to start to fade away. For now, though, his current energy is just right here because of the intensity of the climb and because these four are working pretty hard on the climb. Palace is leading at the front. Also, his heart rate's higher, which is why that's draining. He's drained even further, but he's getting pretty close to the top of the climb and looks like he should make it over the top. He's just 1.3 kilometers from the top of the climb. Pretty punchy rider, decent climber, 75 mountain, and he's going over the top. There would be a King of the Mountains classification right here, and he'd be going over the top first, picking up those points. But with the single stage, it's just not showing up. But that's why he's here. Down to 3 riders as they drop 1 over the top. Meanwhile, back in the Peloton, these guys are getting tired. Kort Nielsen is fading. He's fading because he is out of energy. He is not supporting Carapaz right now. When they first drop behind a rider, they actually still do offer some protection according to the game mechanics. But once you get out of a range, once you get more than a few bike lengths away, they're not offering protection any longer. So Kort Nielsen at this point not helping Carapaz at all, and actually he's in a group that has split off from the Peloton. Shaw, Bettiol, Amador have all dropped back too, but this group regains contact and they come back forward. Uran, Carapaz, Chavez make it through. We now have 64K to go. When it comes to getting water, here's my recommendation on what to do with water. The magic number is 60 kilometers. A bottle will easily last for 60 kilometers, regardless of what the profile is, unless you were literally climbing for 60K. It won't last that long. But regardless of profile, 60K is a good mark. 70K is a decent time to send somebody to get water, because it's going to take them a while to do that task. So Amador here at the back of this group, I'm going to go ahead and tell him to get some water now while we're descending. You see how he's going to drop back to do that, but he's not going to have to drop back too far, and then he'll be coming forward towards his teammates. We just saw a split in the group, but it should regain contact here shortly, and does. Still does not have the water. He's not going to raise his arm. He's just going to suddenly get it. Now he has it. So now we're going to see as he rides forward and tries to regain contact with his teammates. It's difficult through how technical it is here to pedal to make that progress, but he is trying to do so. He's a decent downhill rider, but he's got a -2 race day condition. And you can see he's nearly there to his teammates now. But none of them have water. He does. And you'll see him pass Shaw and then Bettiol, and they'll each start getting that water, and now the task is done. Now I need to reset some tasks because the groups got separated. Amador, we want him to protect our leader Carapaz. Kort Nielsen is gone. What I like to do after a group... Oh, actually, he's going to regain contact here in just a moment, isn't he? Wow, this whole thing's coming back together. In that case, let him get back in contact, and we will tell him to go protect Uran. Shaw has not recovered his position very well, so I'm going to go ahead and start increasing the effort, actually, of all of our leaders as we're getting into a later phase of this race. When the effort that you are set at is not enough, you're going to see a number that is blinking red. The effort that we are set at is the maximum that our riders are willing to give. So if I have an 81 set and the pace is so high that it requires an 85, they won't do it. They'll only give an 81, which is going to cause them to drift backwards. But what it does is it conserves energy because we're maximizing the effort at an 81. But what it also does is it leads to the possibility that the Peloton will split up into smaller groups. And if we're drifting backwards, we might miss out on the main group. We might be too far behind. Poor Cord Nielsen never got water for himself. Well, he's about to go over a climb. We'll have to wait and hope that he makes it that long. At some point, you see that the bottle is blinking. He will go get water himself. He will defy the orders and go get water himself. They are trained to do that. And we're just about to the top of this climb. Near the top of a climb is a really good opportunity to go get water. You know that you're beyond the point of missing out on a split. And usually they'll chase as you're cresting, and then once you go down, things tend to get a little easier on the chase, and they're getting some recovery in while they're at it. Meanwhile, Paulus is still in the break. Doesn't have a lot of energy, but he's doing okay. And we've got just 31k to go in this stage and one climb left before we get to the finish. Now, we are not the favorite team, so I probably would not do this normally. However, with the circumstances of what's coming, I'm going to show you another tactical thing that is very, very handy. Fortunately, we have our entire team at our disposal right now. And Amador and Cord Nielsen don't have much left. I'm going to go ahead and use their energy gel. The energy gel is something that's going to allow your stamina to and or attacks to be prolonged a little bit longer. It's going to help you save energy for a short period of time. When you click it, you can see you get this blink, but eventually we're going to see the whole box blink. This is you've taken the gel. When the whole box starts to blink, it means it's taking effect on the rider. During that blink is when they have that boost. But what I'm going to do right now as we begin a 7.4 kilometer climb, that's 8.5%, is I'm going to treat this as if we are a favorite. And when you're a favorite, you want to put pressure on other teams. We see Jumbo Visma do this all the time. In fact, this man right here, Wout van Aert, will often be one of 4 or 5 riders in a train leading out their leader, Jonas Vingegaard. I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to hit 0 to select all, and then I'm going to click maintain position, which negates all the orders that they had. Then I'm going to choose effort up, which is going to save you some trouble having to micromanage this later on. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to take our entire team that's here, minus Paulus, and I'm going to put them in order of weakest at the front to our strongest rider at the rear. And this is going to conserve energy of our strongest rider, and we're going to use up our other riders as if we are a favorite to put pressure on the rest of the field over this final climb. So Carapaz is our strongest rider. Uran is our second strongest. So I'm going to click on Carapaz, then click and hold, and I'm going to drag him to just underneath or over the top of Uran, and it's going to tell him to follow Uran. So this is the same as if we right-clicked and then left-click on follow. It's the same thing, but it's a quicker way of doing it. Uran is going to follow, I think, Shaw. Shaw is going to follow Chavez. Chavez is going to follow Bettiol. The choice of Bettiol right now is because he is in better shape than Amador and Cord Nielsen. Cord Nielsen's a little bit better off than Amador right now. So this is about their stamina and why I selected those 3 in that particular order. Everybody's going to follow Amador. I could tell Amador to maintain position, which means he would line up here and they would all line up behind him. But we want to put the field under some pressure. We're not going to relay. We're going to go effort. We want to control what's happening, and the effort's going to allow us to do that. But if I leave it on a 99, he is going to sprint more or less. It's not an actual sprint, right? There's the attack button. That's the sprint button. But he's going to give his maximum effort to what he can do right now. I don't want to give quite everything. We've got 8 kilometers to go. So I'm going to roll down a little bit, and we're going to try a 91 and see what sort of tempo that sets. And you can see that right now we are just about a little bit faster than those guys around us. But Amador, his red bar, yeah, it's going away pretty quick. I'm going to roll it down now that we're to the front just a little bit. We're going to set a 90 pace, and that's fast enough to get us going. Now you can see at times team members are going to get caught out a little bit. One way to help them maneuver around tricky guys, I'm going to have to change things up in a second, but the 4 and the 6 key will slide them left or right, 4 to the left, 6 to the right, and that can help them maneuver around other riders. But Amador, he's out of energy. He's got nothing left. His pace suddenly dropped off, and it's causing the other groups to overtake us. So it's time for Kort Nielsen to take over. We're going to get back to the front again because we fell behind a little bit there while I was explaining something. So Kort Nielsen heads around Amador and takes over at the front of the group. Bettiol, it's going to be his turn soon, so I'm going to gel up for him, and then I'm going to gel up for Chavez here in a little bit. Okay, Kort Nielsen just ran out of energy. This is the perfect time for Bettiol to take over. We also have a few guys trying to attack, including Roglic, big threat. So we want to make sure that he is caught. So I'm going to ride a little bit harder with a 92 effort level. We now have 4K to go to the top. There is Paulus in the game. Paulus is still off the front. You don't want to be riding at the front. You don't want to be attacking and putting the field under pressure and chasing down your own teammate who has a chance to win the stage. Once he's caught, feel free to do that. Don't chase your own teammate down. I'm demonstrating how to do this, but under the situation, you wouldn't want to chase your own teammate. But once others have chased, then feel free to be after him. Now, we're going to back off a little bit with Bettiol as we've caught all but Roglic. Roglic catches Paulus. Paulus, I'm going to gel up for him. He's got just a little bit left. Now, you can see red bar wise, all of our guys hurting just a little bit because of the pace. But it's the yellow that's the main one. Once the red bar is won, you lose a little bit of pace. But you can see Bettiol, no red bar, but 99 effort, continues to ride at a decent pace. There's Paulus. We're going to try to get Paulus to grab onto the back. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Kort Nielsen, he's been dropped. He's riding by himself. It's a good idea, not necessary, but it's a good idea to change him to auto because you're not going to worry about him and what's happening, and this is going to help him get to the finish line without issue. So Bettiol still leading, and we are seeing Pogačar, the favorite, and Gaudu and Roglic all trying to attack. Bettiol, running out of energy, needs to be relieved. Chavez, we only have 1.6k to go to the top, is going to take over. I still have Shaw, Uran, Carapaz. You can see Chavez is able to chase these guys down, all but Pogačar. I'm going to set them to auto. We now have just 22 riders left in the Peloton, and you can see a good number of them are struggling right now to keep up with the pace that we are setting. Shaw will take over shortly, and we have caught Pogačar, almost caught Pogačar. Shaw takes over. Shaw, by the way, finished 5th on today's stage. And now it's just 14 riders as we split the field again. And Chavez is still here. Chavez, try to get onto the back end of the group, try to recover a little bit. And Shaw is going to keep up the pressure. We are a minute 13 ahead of a chasing group, and we dropped 2 more riders, now just 12 in the group. 36 seconds ahead of them and pulling away from everyone else. With a descent, it's really not hurting him too much. We're going to hit a little flat here. It will hurt him a bit more, but Uran, Carapaz, even Chavez at the back of the group has recovered just a little bit. We're now 48 seconds ahead, and Shaw is going as fast as he can. Now, he's only a 70 downhill today. He's got that +1, right? So 69 +1, so he's on a 70. But we are just 10k from the finish. But we're going to hit a flat here. It is going to take some effort to continue on. But I've got Uran, I've got Carapaz. The last thing that we're going to be doing today is sprinting. Shaw, he's actually a decent sprinter, 69.74 today. Uran is not. Carapaz has good acceleration. Chavez has recovered quite a bit. I want Chavez to get behind Shaw. Once he gets in position, I'm going to have him take over. For now, he's still got to catch his teammate. Shaw actually got away from him a little bit there, but Chavez will close it down. And we just split the field again. We just split the field again. Yeah, look at this. This is a big group here behind with some favorites. Zana, Lenny Martinez, Lutsenko. There's Bernal, Caruso, Moss, and Soler. There's Vlasov and Thomas just off the back. Vingegaard, Landa, Van Aert, Roglic, Godu, Pogacar. Right now we are probably setting somebody else up to win the stage. However, we are putting ourselves in a really, really good position for what would be, setting ourselves up for a top 5. And our team is not that great for this. Shaw has ridden off onto his own a little bit. Chavez is still chasing, 4K to go. It's coming back together a little bit because Chavez is kind of setting the tempo. Uran 3.5, Carapaz, we're going to gel up for them for the final sprint. Carapaz, get on Uran's wheel. Okay, Chavez is out of energy. Uran 2.5K, he's going to go. We can't sprint with Shaw, he doesn't have anything left. I was giving him a chance to maybe get a breakaway victory there, but here comes Uran, 1.3K, and then Carapaz. Here's what we're going to do. Uran is still ahead of Carapaz. He's leading out Carapaz. I'm going to tell him to sprint right now. He's going to use the last of his red bar. Carapaz looks really strong and fresh. So Uran gets up to speed. Now Carapaz with 1 kilometer to go is going to sprint it out. It looks like we're going to get a top 3. Oh, we're not going to get a top 3. There's too many fast guys around us. Is that Van Aert that just took off? Yeah, it is. So the best sprinters, Roglic, Pogacar, Van Aert, get 1, 2, 3. But Carapaz gets 4th place ahead of Godu. Then we have 18 seconds to Uran. Vingegaard actually loses time, the favorite, Landa. And then Shaw gets a top 10, Vlasov. And then Chavez 12th. That is a fantastic result for the team. It's not a win, but we are nowhere near favorites, and we just put together a really, really strong performance and split the field up. It's already 2.5 minutes from the finish, and riders are coming in 1s and 2s and 4s. No big groups at all yet. So really, really outstanding result there. Save your sprint for the end. How much red bar you have determines kind of when you go, but try to lead out whoever you have to get whatever result is possible at the end. If we had a better sprinter, we would have a chance there, but those guys are much, much higher rated sprinters than what we had. All right, folks, that is the basics of how to do a race in Pro Cycling Manager 2023. Good luck to you. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer. There's a lot more tutorials coming. In fact, I have a new tutorial every week, either for Tennis Manager or for Pro Cycling Manager, coming out every Thursday. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.